My name is Hans. I'm the founder and managing partner of Zenani Capital, and we're a pre-seed impact venture fund focused on Latin America.
I'm Elethia. I am a venture partner with Zenani Capital. Super excited to be at FLII. I think the energy is amazing. We love meeting with entrepreneurs here.
Greg Krupa from Chicago, Illinois, originally, a lifelong serial entrepreneur in Latin America, and joined the team here at Zenani because, Hans comes from this background as an options trader in Chicago. So he brings in a very additive network of LPs, options traders who would otherwise not be looking at early stage venture in Latin America. But his background in terms of being a trader and a market maker, that pattern recognition and understanding really how to identify companies that can have power law growth is why I joined the team as a venture partner.
Well, when I left the options trading world and started doing this, we didn't come into Latin America pre-seed. Like, we have three distinct verticals: climate, financial inclusion, and access to health. But that was an iterative process. It took a long time to get there, and we were seeking to find the gap in where the market is. I think, to answer your question of what makes us unique compared to other funds in Latin, is if you look at our portfolio, we are truly at the earliest stage. We do pre-seed investments, we do free revenue, we're not scared to be the first institutional investor on the cap table, and we go out of our way to find founders at the idea stage and then take them into the portfolio from there.
And I think that our first investment is actually an ideal company to highlight really the thesis, which is Bioplaster. So Andrea Bonilla, PhD from Oxford, from Mexico, who is actually building here in Merida, where we are right now for FLII, the first pilot plant to convert sargassum, so red tide algae, right? These big algal blooms that have actually shifted from what used to be the middle of the Pacific Ocean now to the coast. It's accumulating on beaches in Cancun, and it's a big problem actually for the tourist industry. They're manually removing, the sargassum from the beach. And she's working with the hotels to actually collect it out in the ocean and then to convert that raw material into bioplastic material. So there's a huge opportunity right now. There's a lot of people working in the space, but she's got the IP from her years at Oxford, spent many years working on this problem, and now she's converting the raw material into this alginate that then is converted into bioplastic.
On the background, so I come from options trading, public markets, kind of learned my financial markets, portfolio management, risk management chops there, and was lucky to build a network there, people that have seen me manage money at a relatively young age, that then I was able to convert and take with me to what ultimately became Zenani. And now in the interim, the middle step is that I consulted for a World Bank-backed fund out of Kingston, Jamaica. They were in the growth stage and PE type deals, but because the GPs of that fund were busy with the World Bank, I got to see a lot of pipeline through them, and that was at the time we actually looked at Africa and Southeast Asia and other emerging markets as well. But then I saw the quality of the founders, that tailwinds that this region has, what's possible, and how critical the access to capital gap really is, and at the early stages, because from the pipeline of their view, they were always asking for more in order to deploy the capital that was ready to go at the growth stage. And I'm like, okay, we're looking. This is where the gap is. This is what needs to be solved now, not in 5 years. And it might as well be us who do this.
Sounds good. So we love to be immersed into the ecosystem, kind of to be familiar with all the ideas, all the different entrepreneurs who are bringing their innovations to the market, again, in the early stage. The Zenani Academy is what we call our VC bootcamp or entrepreneur support program to really focus hands-on on helping early stage founders get ready to raise VC funding. There's a lot of amazing programs out there, other accelerators. We didn't want to recreate what's already been done. We see a specific niche, again, focused on early stage founders. We've seen founders make mistakes, kind of come to us or other funders, and maybe VC funding is not right for them, or maybe VC funding is right, but they actually don't really know how to prep. They don't know what questions to to speak about. And so it's really hands-on, meant to walk them through what does VC funding look like? How should they think long-term? What other types of funding exist out there? Like grant funding they can access. Maybe it makes sense for them to look at debt or other equity options. But if VC funding makes sense, then how do they prep? And again, like how do they set up a data room? So it's really hands-on, and we like to walk the talk. We really care about entrepreneurs, and this is one of the ways that we can really support them directly. So it's through virtual sessions, office hours, mentor matchups, and this is also an amazing way for us to actually get access to some entrepreneurs who have not raised large rounds yet, and really get to know their business models really well.
Yeah, I think to add there a little bit is, if you would have asked us or asked me 2 years ago if we were going to be running a program like the Academy, it wasn't really on the roadmap. Like when we joined the ecosystem, the Latin Impact Investing ecosystem has been incredibly welcoming, and we've put a lot of work into building the pipes for deal flow, because access to deal flow is ultimately what sets us apart to our LPs, and that's been going well. But adding the Academy to then even find them earlier, to be able to show up at our own events and others as an entrepreneur support program rather than the big and scary VC fund, it's a different conversation starter, and it really helps us find founders even earlier than we already are, and then be the person that is able to present them to our network after they go through the program, and they have the materials, they have the narrative, they know kind of their fundraising chops, I think is what we call it, and it's been hugely rewarding, and just another one of those things that has come through an iterative process.